And welcome back. And of course, once again, it's time for Dale's Under 18 segment. There was one big game on last weekend. It was the curtain raiser before the interleague game. Undefeated sides, North Geelong Magpies taking on the Cryer Devils. And Dale, it was a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, it was, Dick. After I predicted Cryer, who were number one at that stage, they were on top of the ladder. They played North Geelong number two, and number two came out on top. They kicked 17 goals, 8, 110 to 4, 226. Podner back for his first game in 2 or 3 weeks. I think he's had a bit of a knee injury. Wright and Kigner.
The Pods, local Pods.
Yeah. Kicked 3, Bryant 2, Eels, Perry, Short, Riccardi, Phillips, Marshall C all with 1. And for Cryo, their goal kickers, Toyne, Manning, McKenzie and O'Toole. Best players, North Geelong, Ricketts, Hudson's, Eels, who's been in there plenty of times, Perry, plenty of times, Wright and Short. For Corio, Hastings, Livesey, both R and M.
Very
O'Toole.
Very slippery customer too.
Who?
Eels.
Thank you very much. Lee and Loon Garcia. Now, as I said, Dick, this was a game that I thought would have been pretty close, but unfortunately their full forward Wright never really got his hands on the ball. When he did, he didn't quite hang on to him like he did against us 2 weeks ago. So I don't know how much you can read into this game of football, but I think the sleeping giant may have been woken, the North Geelong boys. They might have been pushed into gear by their coach, Kevin the Bib. Yep. And he's doing a good job out there, I believe, and went out there just to sneak a little bit of a listen to him on the weekend, but I stood at the back of the pack, mate, and he's as quiet as a mouse, so he's obviously enjoying his football.
He does.
Doesn't need to get overexcited because everything was running his way there on the weekend. So
does a great job with the club with running for the seniors as well, but
I think Frank's pretty impressed with it. They're both working together, obviously, with the way they want to plan their structures and all that sort of stuff, and he gets involved, obviously pushing some of these kids up towards senior football, which is a great idea.
His brother Jason's a great clubman at the club as well, so if it all goes well for the Bib family, they do a great contribution to the North Geelong Magpies. But and of course, Gavin did a great job out at Ennicky when they were looking for a coach, and a couple of times the Ennicky Roos looked like they were going to really be back in town, didn't they?
Yeah, look, he's been around, I suppose, a little bit in football terms, but
his running has been good so far.
Well, he obviously chose the right decision to go back to coaching, because I reckon the umpiring fraternity is probably not one of the enjoyable things you can get out of life in football. But so, look, that's everyone to their own. But look, he's doing a great job out there, and look, as I said, Saturday I would have thought this would have been a really close game, but got the boys going really well.
Fantastic. Okay, well, of course, it's on again this afternoon, as we said, and it's the 94.7 match of the round. It's out at the Kevin O'Leary Oval at East Geelong Richmond Crescent Football Ground, and they take on the Bellpost Hill Panthers. And business back as usual. It's all happening again this afternoon, Smithy. Who's going to win it?
What game did you say? I was miles away. I was watching the screen change. I was watching replays of last week's game. We're doing the match of the day, are we?
Yeah, we'll do the match of the day this time.
Geelong and Bellpost should be sensational, Dick. Look, both sides should have a full complement back, I would think, after their break. We know that Brad Martin was one that has been struggling with injury over recent weeks. I saw a couple of other old faces up there. Kazina was up there last weekend. Look, it just depends. I would think that East Geelong at home are going to be a very good side. Skrobalak obviously going to be playing. Had a sore groin, but on Saturday you wouldn't have thought he had that injury. They've had a lot of blokes that have been probably not too close not too far away from coming back, and we'll get probably 5 or 6 of those players back into their senior side. Cameron, who came back in just before the break, played 1 game, will have now benefit from 3 or 4 weeks training. I think the East Geelong will now start to string a few together, but look, Bellpost still can't be taken too lightly. There's still some rumours that Chris Moreland may go back and Luke Parker may go back from Newtown and Geelong West respectively, which would give them extra midfielders. They've already got them there, but obviously Chris Moreland's a pretty talented kid, can play either end of the ground, but look, they've got to actually turn up and get their clearances before they can actually play. If they went in with the team they had Saturday, Brent Grigg, we know he presents well up forward. He might find himself having to go back and play in Skrobalak at some stage if none of the other boys can stand up to the pressure of being back there with him. East Geelong for me at home.
Jake, a great game to get the home and away season back in action again.
Yeah, well, absolutely. The rematch of the 2 grand finalists from last year. And I suppose this game's just as important to both those clubs as that grand final last year, because it's a really season-defining game. If the loser of this game is really back with the pack, I guess, now in season 2010, we've seen, I suppose, both sides really not really, produce the same level of football that they did late in season 2009. They'll be using this game, as you said, they've had the break for the interleague. They'll be using this game to really, launch themselves into the second half of the year. We saw last Saturday Simon Prinky, why he's probably the best centre half back going around in the GDFL at the moment. He was fantastic on the weekend in the interleague game, and he'll be one that probably will get first crack at Gergich if he starts forward. So I think East Geelong at home are probably the side you'd think would run away with the points, but Bellpost still really desperately need this win.
Dale, East Geelong and Belpo still started the season off. Everyone thought they were probably going to be the world beaters, and they've probably been a little bit disappointing, haven't they, really?
Look, I know injuries. You don't blame injuries because you've got obviously a group of players beyond that in reserve level, and I suppose it just depends on how deep that depth can go. But both sides have lost important players to their side. Andrew Venner has been one bloke that's, I think, pretty important. Kazina, he was suspended, I think, from last year's grand final. He's played now a couple in reserves. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a bloke that came back into the squad. We know that Shaun Lewis is playing some good football. Brad Martin's another one that's been a bloke that's missed a lot of games of recent times, but he's a key position player. Look, they need to get those blokes back to be at their very, very best. And as I said, East Geelong the same. Hill didn't play the last couple of weeks. We know that Cameron's now got himself right. I think Robbie Chamberlain, if he's still doing a bit more fitness work, he should play further up the ground. There was 2 or 3 others that have been hampered with injury during that course of time too.
Well, Chris Hickey missed the interleague game
well,
last
he did,
week.
that's right. So all these blokes now should be fresh. So this break will have done both clubs a world of good. I expect to see them nearly close to their full lists coming this week.
Scrobbo was obviously reported before the interleague game, got off, and he's all cleared now, ready to go as well.
Right to go.
Right to go. What happened there? The just thrown out of court.
I'm not too sure. The wording of the charge, I think there was a bit of a deciphering the wording of the actual charge. What do they call it?
Striking and charging, there's a bit of a mix-up.
Yeah, the wording wasn't quite there. It's like my abusive language when you just talk to an umpire. I don't think that was right either. I'll just go back to that and tell them again.
You would have been good to the umpires, I reckon, Dale. An absolute gentleman, I reckon.
I never reported him a lot, once, and I got to say abusive language, and I said...
Abusive language?
I never raised my voice and called an umpire cheat.
Well, you can't.
Unbelievable.
They were intimidating by me, Dick.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. I hope you enjoyed some of those highlights on the screen too, folks. It was fantastic of a great game on last Saturday. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about all the other action on this afternoon. And believe me, folks, there's some big games on this afternoon. Nothing bigger than the one out at the Footrot Flats, the Anarchy Roos playing Bannockburn. That'll be a ripper as well.
Huge.
It'll be absolutely massive. We'll be back right after this.